Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody today? Excuse me. I just ate my breakfast. And I maybe should have waited before I started. Okay. Good morning, everybody. How is everybody today? I am still sleepy. Oh, I so wanted to go back to sleep this morning. Oh, Judy has information about Nick Terzian today. I liked him. I think he was pretty much done though. He wanted out. I don't blame him. I would have wanted out too. Especially Rosen, man. That dude. I do not like that man. He doesn't remind me of anybody else. Um, well, except Tim Gunn. But in the lawyering world, he doesn't remind me of anybody else. Um, but he just, other than the fact that he just keeps asking the same questions over and over and over, he kind of reminds me of Hank Brennan in that regard. Because it's just same questions over and over and over. And he'll let it go and then he'll come back to it. In that regard, he reminds me of Hank Brennan. But it's like, dude, let it go. Let it go. You don't even know what you're asking him. It doesn't make sense. Shut up. So, my name's Debbie. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Well, and if you're not new here, welcome to my channel. I'm so tired. I need to go back to sleep. Ah, 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 ah. Man, I'm still exhausted from the Karen Reed trial. Why did that wear me out so bad? It's just a trial. I just sat here on my butt for how many weeks? 7? Was it 7 weeks? I don't even know. Okay, Nick Terzian, Lana's agent, CEO of NTA Talent Agency, one of the most esteemed and respected talent agencies in LA. In 1999, Terzian founded NTA Talent Agency in Los Angeles. This venture marked a significant milestone as the agency secured a SAG, Screen Actors Guild franchise. Nick is still active today and focuses on print ads and commercials. He's changed a lot since the trial. He is completely gray, and so is his beard. Wow. Yep. It sucks getting old. It really, really does suck getting old. You know what? Something happened to me that has never happened to me before. You know, yesterday's stream had that reel that Lana did. I got copyright claimed on that. There were 2 songs in her reel. One was Steely Dan, and I forgot what the other one was. But yeah, that's never happened to me on a live stream. As many other crazy things that I pull in to just, and I always say I'm not monetized yet, it doesn't matter, right? I just pull all kinds of stuff in for us to watch, like during downtimes, during trials and stuff. I'm like, oh, it don't matter. Like roller coasters and all kinds of stuff. Peeps, TikTok, stuff from other people's streams, all kinds of stuff, right? Never. I never get flagged for anything. Man, and yesterday, not even thinking about it this time, and I got flagged. 2 things in her video, 2 songs in that little reel that she made. 2 songs. So now I have to go back And I can just cut the song out, or I can have YouTube replace it with a song that is free to use. Well, I have had them before on videos. When I have used somebody else's videos, that's not in any of my live streams though. That has been in some of my videos, my edited videos. Um it hasn't been in a lot of them. I think there's only been one that had issues inside the video that I can remember. It was when I did the Slender Man video and I used somebody else's video of Slender Man sightings. There was some music or something in it. And then way, way, way back when I first started, I had a theme song that I was supposed to be able to use. It was back when I very first started, I did it on my iPhone. And the program that I used, my editing program, I used one of their free theme song thingies like I have now. But it was for iPhone, and it said as long as you credited the author or composer, whatever, that it was fine to use, and that's what I did. Like at the start of my videos, I had his name down in the corner. And it said that's all I had to do, but then when I applied for monetization, it came up that I had to change that. So I think I just cut it out. And the other thing was when I first started doing these videos, the true crime videos, Criminal Minds had gone off the air. So I could use all the Criminal Minds stuff I wanted and they didn't care. But then when it came back in on the streaming service on Paramount Plus, and um they put all the episodes on Paramount Plus, and then they started the new series after that, I couldn't use the clips anymore. Then I started getting copyright strikes for that. Or not strikes, but claims, whatever. So then I had to go back and take all my Criminal Minds clips out of my episodes. Which is stupid. Because with the Criminal Minds clips, that's only a partial restriction. Because if it's in America, it's fine. But if it's in another country, they can't view the clip because CBS and Paramount have strict rules about that. It's weird. The copyright stuff is really, really, really weird. But YouTube helps you with that. They help you, like, they do it for you. They just ask you, what do you want to do? Do you want to cut the whole thing out? Do you want to cut the song out? Do you want to replace it with a song you can use? And then they do it for you. You just choose what you want them to do. So it's easy. It's an easy fix. It's not a big deal. And it doesn't affect my video right now because I don't get the money for the video. I get the money I get right now is from my memberships from you guys. So I have to have 1,000 subscribers before I get money from the actual video. So I need you guys to start telling your friends and your enemies and your mailman and whoever, the waiter at the restaurant you go to, and because I need the money. I have to buy more RAM. So StreamYard will quit crashing every 5 minutes. It's just how it is. I'm not sure that's what's going on. It could just be StreamYard, because I know other creators are having problems with it too. But I still feel obligated to do everything I can do on my end to try to get it to be better. And I think having more RAM may help. Because I think that's my problem. Or one of my problems. Okay, Michael Bay. We get to watch Michael Bay testify. Hey, Terry.
That microphone underneath your chin, and if you'll state and spell your name for the record, please.
Michael Bay, Chaelbay.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Mr. B, could you tell the what did you do?
I'm a film director. Started directing commercials, music videos in '89. Directed movies such as Bad Boys, The Rock, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, The Island, and Transformers.
You forgot one, didn't you, Mr. Bay?
Which one?
Bad Boys 2.
Bad Boys 2, yeah.
There you go. Can't forget the sequel.
Yeah.
Can't leave them out. Mr. Bay, do you still, to this day, notwithstanding the successes that you've enjoyed, do you still direct commercials? Are you still involved in that business?
Yeah, I have a commercial company.
What does that mean?
That means that when I'm off movies, I will direct commercials such as anything from Nike to Victoria's Secrets to GM car commercials.
Did you know Lana Clarkson?
Yes, I did.
How did you know Miss Clarkson?
I met her in my early years directing propaganda films when I was doing music videos and commercials.
Did you ever work with Lana Clarkson?
I worked with her in October '89 on a Mercedes commercial, and I think possibly another commercial, but I can't peg it.
Were you responsible for hiring and casting Miss Clarkson in the
Yes.
commercial or two commercials that you worked with her in?
Yes, I was.
What is involved in your decision to cast particular actors or actresses in any project that you work on, be it
Well,
Pearl Harbor or a commercial?
Yes. That's too broad, Your Honor. There are ranges of actors from above the title, below the title, people that appear in the scene for 1 second. I think the question to ask is way too broad.
I don't think it's too broad if it's limited to commercials. Okay? And if that's what it's limited to, then I'll allow it.
What was limited to that? So what goes into casting an individual or individuals in commercials?
The agency, such as Mercedes, would kind of specify a type, and I would have my casting woman, Lisa Fields, look for these people, and we would narrow it down, and then I'd go to callbacks, and that's where I would audition them with the agency there.
So there's actually, in normal parlance, I guess, there would actually be an audition where the potential actor or actress would either speak a part or play a scene out.
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
Miss Clarkson did this for you.
Yes.
And you, based on that audition, the callback, you put her on hold, and ultimately she was booked for the job.
Right.
Did you get to know her personally after you worked with her professionally?
Yeah, I'd see her at propaganda films, Christmas parties. She would come in for multitude of auditions for other jobs with me. I invited her to a party at my house, and I'd just seen her over the years. And, you know, she was like one of the few that would send me chocolates or whatnot when Christmas came around.
Tell me real quick what Propaganda Films is.
That was a commercial music video company that started in the late 80s.
And you worked with them?
Yeah.
And it was under that auspices that you worked with Lana Clarkson on some of the commercials, or was that a film company?
It was just really a commercial music video company.
Okay. You indicated that you had a professional relationship with Ms. Clarkson. You also knew her on a personal level through your professional relationship. Would you recognize her if she walked in the room?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. She's like 6'1" or 2", and you'd recognize Lana because she was funny and just vivacious. So it's kind of hard to miss.
Did you like her?
I did, because she was funny. I like funny people.
Did you know her by name?
Of course.
In other words, I mean, you meet in your business, you meet a lot of folks, right?
A lot.
I imagine there's a lot of folks you meet and they walk up and say, Mr. Bay or Michael, we met back 2 years ago, and you're thinking,
That's right.
you know, I can't place your name, but I know your face. Was she in that category?
No.
If she walked up, hi, Lana, how you doing? Kiss on the cheek?
Yeah.
I want to draw your attention to January 2003. Did you attend a party at Jeff Franklin's house?
Yeah.
In 2003, January, sometime toward the late weeks. Where was that party?
Somewhere in the Hollywood Hills.
Do you remember when it was, as best you can recollect?
I think it was like the third week.
Can I ask you a favor? The reporter, unlike when we talk on the street, she has to be able to separate conversations. If you could wait for him to finish. Okay, you may proceed.
That's what we do in my business.
Make a good director, wouldn't
It's called stepping on lines. Your question again?
All right. About when was it? Was it a Saturday or a Thursday?
It was a Saturday, like the third week of January.
All right. Who'd you go to the party with?
I think Craig Katz.
A friend of yours.
Yes.
Did you go with any females or were you on a date?
No, not with Craig, no. No, it's with Craig.
Fair enough. Did you have any contact with Lana Clarkson at that party?
No.
Do you know how many people were at the party?
Easily 350 to 400.
Okay. So a large gathering. Is that yes?
Yes,
If in fact you saw Miss Clarkson at the party, would you have recognized her, Mr. Bay?
absolutely.
Even if she was standing across the room?
Absolutely.
About how long were you at the party?
Probably 2.5, 3 hours.
At any point, did you look across the room and see a 6 foot or 6'2" blonde in heels that looked like Lana Clarkson?
Nobody that looked like Lana Clarkson, no.
All right. Did Lana Clarkson ever approach you, Mr. Bay, in an attempt to talk to you at that party on that night?
No.
Did you have any contact with her whatsoever at that party that night?
No.
When was the last time you had seen Lana Clarkson before you heard that she was killed?
I remember opening the Metro section and reading about a Phil Spector.
Excuse me, that's not responsive. When did you last see her, is the question?
I'm just.
I think he's trying to place the date by what he read and when he saw. So
I
I'm going
don't
to
think
allow.
he needs to tell us the content of a story to tell us the date he last saw
Mr.
her.
Brennan, it's not necessarily a story. He's setting this up in his mind. He's explaining how he's setting the date. The objection is overruled.
Could we ask him to set it up silently? And just answer when he gets to the date?
Well, not necessarily. I don't think a witness has to do that as to how you're doing it. The objection is overruled. You may answer.
Thank you. And I opened the page of the Metro section and I saw Lana Clarkson. And instantly my heart was like, oh my God, when's the last time I saw her? And I was living in Florida directing Bad Boys 2 from the end of 2002 to kind of the July of 2002. So it had to be maybe 7, 8, 9 months.
Mr. Bay, if you had seen Lana Clarkson or had contact with Lana Clarkson 3 or 4 days before you read the Metro section that she had been killed, is that something that would have stood out in your mind?
It would have been a huge event in anyone's life, because I think the first thing you look at or you remember is if someone's dead, when was the last time I saw that person?
You indicated that you knew Lana Clarkson and you liked her. You considered her a friend. Is that yes?
Yes.
If you had seen her, would you have disrespected her in any way?
If I disrespected her, she would have slapped me.
You had that kind of relationship?
No, she's just funny, and she was kind of saucy, I mean, she had no qualms coming right up to someone.
All right. If someone suggested that you had contact with Miss Clarkson at this party and you, in fact, disrespected her at the party, would that be accurate?
Yeah, I'm going to object to that. It's not someone, it's Miss Clarkson.
Well, actually, it's a little different. It's talking about someone else's testimony.
Correct.
which is based on this question.
And I'm going to sustain the objection. That's for argument. The bottom line is to the facts that happen, and then you can argue their import at a later time.
Was Lana Clarkson someone that you, Mr. Bay, liked well enough that you would have crossed a room to say hi to her?
Sure.
And you didn't on that night?
No.
And you had not seen her or been in her presence for some 8 or 9 months, to the best of your recollection, before you found out that she was killed?
Best of my recollection.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Mr. Day, before you were a director, were you an actor?
Yeah, I actually did a little family theater stuff when I was a kid.
That evolved into directing?
No, photography helped involve me into directing.
In any event, you're not an actor now, you're a director
No.
now?
Yes, I'm a director.
All right.
Sometimes you have to act to be a director.
I'm going to let that one pass by. Let me ask you this. When did you first meet Miss Clarkson?
I started my career in '89, so it probably would be in the early to mid-'90s. I actually remember the first time I met her. I think, in a casting in the early '90s. She came in the room dressed like, I think, Marilyn Monroe.
Did you said you cast her in one commercial that you recall? Is that right?
One
He's about to correct it. Go ahead, let him answer. I think.
One most definitely, the Mercedes commercial,
Yes.
where she was a German inspector, and I think possibly another Mercedes, but I can't find it because I've directed hundreds of commercials.
The one that you do recall, when was that?
Like I said, it was October '98.
And the other one that you might have cast her in, when would that have been? Before or after?
It would have been after.
Okay. And how long after?
I'm not sure. It's.
So is it the case you're not sure that you did use her in a second commercial? You might
I'm not
have.
sure if I used her in a second commercial.
Okay. The commercial that you did use her in, did she have a speaking part?
No, it was all visual.
Okay. How long was she on the screen? Do you recall?
On the screen,
Yes.
I think we did a 60 and a 30 seconds, so I think it was I don't know, there were a multitude of different cuts.
It was a commercial with several different models of Mercedes featured throughout the commercial, was it?
No, they were actually testing human Mercedes buyers in heat rooms and wind machines. It's kind of a comedy commercial.
Okay. And of the 30-second version, how many seconds would she have appeared on the screen?
I don't know, maybe 6, 7.
After 1998, did you use her in any other project that you recall?
Something sticks out in my head of using her again, but I can't recall what it
Is
is.
this the Mercedes
Could have
commercial
been a
that you're
second
thinking about?
Mercedes.
Okay, all right. Other than that possibility, you made, I think you named maybe 6 or 7 films during that period of time? Mm-hmm. Between, well, let's stop at 2003, February. Between 1998 and 2003, how many projects did you work on?
How many projects did I work on?
Yes.
God, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I work every week.
Okay. Congratulations. Approximately, you made 3 or 4 movies. Is during that period of time? Would you say?
From what date? From '98?
From 98 to 2003.
Something like that, yeah.
And though each of those feature films would have dozens, if not hundreds, of parts. Is that right?
Correct.
From people so-called above the title to extras who may have a credit to people who are just in crowd scenes, right?
Correct.
And during any one of those, even in a crowd scene, even in somebody doing a walk-through uncredited part, did you use Miss Clarkson?
I would never offer her an extra part because that's demeaning.
Okay. Well, did you ever offer any other part?
No, but I never offered Tom Hanks a part either, so I don't know.
Well, we're not talking about Tom Hanks, so, and he might not have accepted, who knows, but let's talk about Ms. Clarkson, okay? You didn't offer her any other part?
No.
Okay.
She might have come in on something on Pearl Harbor, but I can't recall.
Okay. So in terms of anything you specifically recall, you cannot say, I offered her a part in such and such a film or a project, and she took it.
Right.
Okay. You made commercials throughout that period of time between 98 and 2003 as well?
Yeah, but it's definitely fewer commercials because,
Well, can you quantify how many you made?
I mean, I try not to remember them. Maybe 30.
Okay. In those 30 commercials, there were people in all of them? Persons, rather? Mm-hmm. Yes?
Yes.
And could you quantify how many people collectively were in all those?
It's a number, I don't know, sir.
Okay. Could be from 1 or 2 to dozens, right?
Yes.
Did you offer a role in any of those commercials?
Like I said, my casting woman, Lisa Fields, we recall that we used her in one other commercial, but we don't know which one.
Okay. I'm talking about the 30 or more that are in addition to the one you recall and the one you might recall, and the additional 30 during that period approximately.
I'm going to object, John. This has been asked and answered in 3 different ways. You cast her in one commercial and possibly another, and that's it.
I think there's a point that Mr. Brown is trying to make. I'll allow in this cross-examination.
Thank you. In those additional commercials, did you ever ask your casting director to call Ms. Clarkson in to see if she could read for a part or not read, just act?
Potentially, but I can't recall.
Okay. But you do know you didn't use her in any other than the one you talked about and the one that you might have used her, correct?
I guess you could say that.
Well, can you say that?
I still think I potentially used her in her second commercial. I don't know what to do. Oh, no.
Okay. Known that you're going to be a witness at least a couple of weeks, right?
I found out midweek last week.
Okay. So during that period of time, did you ask any of your assistants to go through your records and see if you had any other additional contact with Ms. Clarkson?
No.
Now, at some point, you said that you read in the paper that Ms. Clarkson had died, correct?
Correct.
And you thought back that was somebody that you knew? Mm-hmm. Yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm asking you to answer yes or no.
Okay.
I know, but it's for the record, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, let's, once you saw or became aware of that, you tried to think back, when was the last time I had seen Ms. Clarkson? Is that right?
Correct.
And you think now it might have been 8 or 9 months before February of 2003?
Something like that.
And what was the occasion that you're thinking of?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Well, what memory is it that you're focusing on that you think occurred 8 or 9 months prior?
Well, I know that I got like a Christmas present that December, I think. It was some chocolates and a tape where she did a woman show.
Okay. A couple months.
It would have been like that.
But I'm trying to, if you will, resurrect whatever memory you have about seeing her 8 or 9 months prior to February of 2003. What is the occasion you're thinking of, or what's the event?
Well, I had a masquerade party at my house, I think somewhere in 2002. So,
Do you recall her being there?
yeah.
And do you recall how she was dressed?
No.
Are you sure that she was there at your party?
Yeah.
Before that, do you recall the last time you'd seen her?
Objection, relevance.
It gets cloudy. I mean, I think a propaganda film's Christmas party, Mercedes, we had a rap dinner.
Back in '98, you're talking about?
Yes.
So do you have any other specific event that you recall seeing her at beside the masquerade party?
I don't know, just maybe parties or throughout the years that I've known her, I guess. I don't know.
Do you have a clear recollection of seeing her at a party?
I mean, they're recollections, there's images in my head of seeing her out in LA, you know?
Well, I'm trying to put a context for that, okay?
I guess it gets cloudy.
I mean, you meet a lot of people, right? In your
I do.
business. And when you're out, people are soliciting your attention, trying to talk to you, maybe pitch you, that sort of thing?
Correct.
Okay, so you get a lot of data in terms of personalities and people trying to make contact with you, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And I assume that you don't attempt to catalog all of those in your memory.
No, there are many you wish to forget.
Okay. The party that you went to in January, whose house was, or whose?
Jeff Franklin?
And was that at a house?
Yes.
Do you recall where the house was?
Hollywood Hills?
And can you be more specific, like a street?
I don't know the street.
Okay. How did you get there?
How we got there is irrelevant.
Oh, did somebody drive you there? Or did you
Yeah.
drive yourself?
Section relevance.
I can see just slightly to try to fix if we're talking, I can understand. If the objection is overruled, you may answer.
When you were first asked about that, when the district attorneys first contacted you about whether or not you went to that party, did you tell them that you weren't sure, you couldn't remember if you went to the party in 2003?
Well, I think back, this was a long time ago, but in thinking back, I clearly remember being there.
Okay. Initially, when you were first contacted, did you tell them you didn't remember being there?
No, I think I kind of had an idea that I was there, and so...
So you didn't tell them that you didn't remember, you
Well,
weren't sure?
what I told them is I think of my life in movies, and it's like I got to go back several movies, you know?
Well, but as you were going back through the movies, you were trying to go back to something that tethered you to January of 2003.
And then I remembered, okay, I did Bad Boys 2, and I rapped right before Christmas, and
Of what year?
of 2002.
Okay. So in the post-Bad Boys 2 era, you think you went to the party at Jeff Franklin's?
Yes.
All right. But what I'm trying to get at is what your initial reaction when first asked about it. Did you tell the DAs you weren't sure?
No, it's kind of. I told him I have to think back, and you know, I thought back, and I can tell you for sure I was there 2004.
Let me just try to finish this first contact if I can. Did you have to think back and then call him back or have second contact, or were you able to think back during that first conversation?
No, I think the first thing I told him was I think I was there.
All right. Now, in trying to establish with some degree of certainty this particular event, do you keep a day planner or a diary or some sort of record of your activity?
Yes, I do.
And do you keep it, or does an assistant keep it, or both?
An assistant keeps it. I don't keep one, but it only goes back so far. You know, we usually go back about 2 years, 3 years.
Okay. Did you attempt to determine if there was any documentation as to whether or not you attended that party, either by way of day planner, appointment book, invitation, anything like that?
No.
Do you remember what the date was of the party?
It was like the third week in January 2003.
Do you have a date?
I don't know. What would be the third week? Is it the 20-something?
Well,
I don't know. I don't remember the date.
presumably 21st to 28th, something like that?
Could be like that, yeah.
Or I suppose the first week is 0 to 7, second week is 7 to 14, could have been 14 to 21.
The third week, that's what I remember.
Okay, by third week, are you saying between the 14th and the 21st?
I mean, we can look on a calendar specifically and find it.
Okay. How about just answering the question?
I'm trying to answer the question, sir. I mean, you've asked me 3
Yes,
times.
just stop, everyone, please. That's inappropriate. Sustain.
But what I'm asking you is what you mean by the terminology third week. Is that the week?
Like in the,
Objection.
Yes.
Let me finish the question and then I'll see.
If you hadn't finished the question, finish the question, then make your objection, then I'll rule on it, and then we'll see where we're at. Go ahead.
When you say third week, do you mean the week that begins on the 14th and ends on the 21st?
no, I think it's later 20s.
Okay. And the day of the party, do you remember?
It would be a Saturday.
And was there any kind of theme for the party that you recall?
I'm not sure if it was, I don't know if it was lingerie or what. I'm not sure.
What about for the women?
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be wearing lingerie, sir.
That's what's known as a joke that fell
Yeah,
flat.
I know.
All right. You said that there were approximately 350 to 400 people there?
Yeah.
And did you make it a point to go greet everybody at the party?
No, I'm actually kind of shy at parties.
And what does that mean? You kind of stay in a corner?
No, I just kind of hang with my friends.
Okay. And of the 350 to 400 people, how many would you say that you personally greeted, made eye contact, shook hands, that sort of thing?
I have no idea.
Be a small fraction?
Excuse me? Oh,
Would it be a small
yes,
fraction
it
of
would be
that?
a small fraction, yes.
10, 15 people, something like that?
Probably more than that.
What would you say if you had to
30,
estimate?
40.
And now, thinking back, do you remember any of those 30 or 40 people that you might have had occasion to say hello to, a greeting, Happy New Year, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would, yes.
And who would that be?
Alex Nicole, Jeff Franklin, Rick Scoff, Carmack, Dumondron.
Can we get a spelling on that, please?
I have no idea.
Phonetic. All right.
No, at this point, I would object that under 352, it's irrelevant, and it's irrelevant.
Over. Anyone else you recall?
I mean, I don't know.
Was the party entirely inside the house, or was it inside on a patio?
Very staggered. It was, there's an outside courtyard, long driveway coming down. Inside, there's this entryway. There's kind of a bar area. There's another bar area. The house was kind of a little bit complicated. Then he had a tented thing outside.
Was there a particular location within the party that you primarily stayed at?
I thought it would be outside by the tent.
Okay. And
It's where I generally stay.
and you said that you were there
I generally would get to a party about 10:30, 11.
Okay. Do you have a specific recollection of this particular party?
No, but that's generally when I would go to a party.
So if you had to guess, that's what you would say?
Yes.
And leaving time, do you remember leaving?
Yes, probably about 1:30.
Okay. Do you actually remember that, or are you basing it on your habit?
My memory, the party, I think, potentially the party might have been shut down by the police for noise.
Okay. Well, was it, or?
I remember one of his parties was shut down. I'm not sure if that was the one.
And do you remember saying goodbye to anybody in particular as you were leaving?
No.
Now, have you ever had the experience of having someone come up and say, I saw you at such and such an event, but you didn't see them?
Yes, I've had that experience.
Okay. Well, likewise, have you ever had the experience of telling someone else, hey, I saw you at the Dodger game or
Yes.
UCLA football, and they go, I didn't see you.
Right.
Okay. So missing people in a crowd is not an unusual event, circumstance, is it? All right. Now, we have an exhibit I'd like you to take a look at if you could, if you would. Can you see that? Is the lighting all right to see that from where you are?
Uh-huh.
Yes?
Yes.
And you recognize any of the people in that?
Just Lana.
Okay. And she's on the left, is she?
Yeah.
Leopard skin.
Yes.
Do you recognize anybody else in there?
No, I don't.
Do you know someone named Pumpkin Pie?
No.
And I take it you don't know either of the gentlemen pictured in that photo?
It could be a bad picture. I don't know.
Well, regardless.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Do you recall seeing anybody at the party that you went to that looked like any of those people?
Excuse me, say that again?
The party that you're thinking about at Jeff Franklin's, did you see anybody that looked like that there?
No.
All right, Your Honor, I should say that that is Exhibit 7N7.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, do you recall referring to actresses in a Rolling Stone article as being neurotic?
Objection, no, sustained.
Excuse me?
Objection, sustained.
Sustained, you don't have to answer. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard the expression drama queen?
Objection, relevance.
You want to approach Mr. Bruno? Because I don't see the relevance.
All right, I'll pass. Let me ask you this. Would it be conceivable, in your experience, that someone might have seen you, Miss Clarkson might have seen you at the party, and you didn't see her, and she took that as a snub?
Objection. That calls for speculation.
Sustained.
In any event, the most you can say today is that if you went to that party in January 2003, and she was there, you didn't see her, correct?
Correct.
You don't know if she saw you.
I don't know if she saw me.
You don't know.
That assumes facts, not evidence. That she was.
Well, she doesn't know.
It's the way there's certain facts in the question that assume certain things.
And would you have any way of knowing if she did see you, if she thought that you had ignored her and took that back?
That calls for speculation.
Sustained.
That's within speculation. All right, thank you, sir. I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Redirect.
Mr. Bay, I'm just going to be a couple of quick questions, a couple of quick minutes with you. You indicated on cross-examination that you don't know everybody that was at the party, correct?
Correct.
But as you sit here today, can you say that you did not see Lana Clarkson at the party?
I did not see Lana.
You did not have contact with Lana Clarkson at the party.
I did not have contact.
She did not have contact with you at the party.
She did not have contact with me.
And at no time at that party did you ever disrespect her in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Never.
You were asked about working with Ms. Clarkson. People's 183 next door to you.
183 is correct.
Thank you. You indicated that you had had contact with Ms. Clarkson and actually cast her in one of your commercials, and I'd like you to take a quick glance at this 35 millimeter photograph. It'll come into focus in just a second. It's actually got a bad sheen on it, so let me see if I can move that just a little bit. How about that?
Yeah.
You recognize those two people?
Yes.
Who were they?
Me and Lana Clarkson.
When was that taken? What do you know?
She's wearing the Mercedes outfit, so that's when she was during the shoot, and you can see my monitor right behind.
That's all I have, Mr. Bay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recross?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Subject to recall, your excuse. Thank you for being here. You may step down. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we are not in session tomorrow. A lot of us have medical appointments, including I've got 2 tomorrow. So we're going to be off tomorrow, and we will resume on Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning. All right? And then Thursday morning, you know, at 10 o'clock, you'll be meeting here at the normal time, and then you will be transported. We will be having a jury view on Thursday at the Grandview residence. All right? That'll be Thursday morning, and Thursday afternoon, we should be in session in the afternoon. So with that in mind, keep in mind the admonition, and we will see you Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning. Jurors and the alternates have left. We have a lot of things we need to take up. One, when the media selects their representative, please let Mr. Parachini know so he can tell the sheriffs and we can make appropriate arrangements. Thank you. Mr. Rosen?
Yes, Mr. Ford wanted to address the court on the document. We need a ruling on that.
Yes, I'm prepared to move forward.
Thank you.
Well, I have some questions, I should say, and then I'll be prepared to move forward.
Your Honor, before we get too far into that,
Yes. You want somebody ordered back?
Yes, we want
You
somebody
do that
ordered
first.
back. Yeah. I don't want to hold you up.
A lot of matters to go over.
We were hoping to get to Paula Rosenfield today. She's here now. Could she be ordered back for 9:30 on Wednesday?
Yes, thank you for being here, 9:30 on Wednesday morning, ma'am, here. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Paula Rosenfield. Yes, the custodian. No.
Yeah, maybe you can come to a stipulation and avoid her coming back, but that's up to you. That's your decision.
That'd be great.
Okay? I think given where we're at, because this deals with the People's 57, the exhibit that you objected to, and we had the discussion, and it turns out it was received in evidence without objection. It has been testified, but they have the custodian now, so we're going to see if we can work out a stipulation, but that's up to the parties. Okay. So the otherwise fascinating legal discussion we were having is probably moot.
It was interesting.
It was.
This is a Socratic
Yeah. What else do we want to talk? You want to talk, Mr. Plord is, there he is.
Pardon?
You want to talk about...
You said you had a question regarding that.
Well, there's a people's motion to prevent you from calling an expert witness, a Dr. Jan, Jan, Leetsma, Leetsma, and the people have filed, you filed a notice of motion to call the witness. The people have filed a response and an objection to calling the expert. And this is a person who is a neuropathologist. It has to do with whether or not Ms. Clarkson could have taken any breaths or had involuntary movements of her body after being shot. One of the main objections that the people are having is this witness discovery was not given until, I guess, sometime last. That's my question to you, Mr. Plord. I've looked at the testimony. I seem to recall that both, and correct me if I'm wrong, because there's a lot of witnesses, that both Doctors DeMaio and Spitz both testified as to this involuntary movement and whether it could or could not occur. That's the first thing I'm trying to establish.
To some extent, that's true. They both did, and they both conceded they weren't neuropathologists, that type of thing. And as to the discovery issue, after Dr. Spitz testified, basically we, based upon the cross-examination which occurred, et cetera, we sent some materials to Dr. Leitzman based on a recommendation we had from an expert. And as soon as he gave his opinion, we turned that over. In other words, and so I know it comes late in the sense that the opinion was turned over last week. Well, that was when the opinion was rendered, so there was no delay.
I understand that, but the people's position is that this clearly was going to be an issue at the trial, that one of the doctors that Dr. Pena relied on, there's two, he ended up taking the position of one because I believe there was a discrepancy or a difference between the two neuropathologists who testified, and he testified in his direct and cross concerning whose opinion he was accepting to ultimately come to the conclusions that he did, which is why the court allowed that hearsay testimony, because it was the basis of an opinion. And the people's position is that you've known all along you should have had all witnesses that could have testified to this on board so they could have done their checking and prepared prior to that witness being called. That's their position.
Yeah, I understand. And actually, this is sort of the way we looked at it. There were no neuropathologists on their witness list that we discerned. Basically, Dr. Pena is the one that really brought the neuropathology into it. And the only one that was in the coroner's file at all was, I believe his name was Dr. Andrews, who basically gave an opinion that wasn't too divergent than what our experts were saying. So we felt it was really kind of a non-contested type issue. During Dr. Pena's testimony, for the first time, he brings up Dr. Itabashi, who basically he sort of said contradicted the other neuropathologist at the coroner's office who was in the file. Dr. Itabashi's name never surfaced at all. First time we heard it on was basically on, I think, redirect or recross when he mentioned it when I was talking to him, and he said that basically there was a disagreement there. So that opinion was basically out, contrary to the way we thought things were going to go down. So, we objected to even any opinions coming in, because Dr. Pena had really no opinion on neuropathology. He simply stated the neuropathologist's opinions. So then when Cross came with Dr. Spitz, particularly about the neuropathologists, we decided we should, to be effective representatives for our client, to be really, competent advocates, we should consult with a neuropathologist on this issue. And we did, and that's where we get Dr. Leitzman, and it's two narrow, very quick opinions. I don't believe that they're prejudiced at all by the sequence of events as they came down, especially in light of how it came from their side. I think, the equities just favor us calling this witness for the testimony, which I think estimate-wise should be about an hour, hour and a half at the most.
I asked you before, and you sort of indicated, I can't recall your exact response, but I have a memory, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that both Dr. Spitz and Dr. DeMaio were very emphatic about their testimony. I remember Dr. DeMaio talked, because we got into the question of whether the video of this individual in the San Bernardino or Riverside jail who shot himself, and although I wouldn't allow the video to be shown because of its gruesome nature, and it's obviously not the same case, basically allowed the doctor to testify about, what he saw and based on whether somebody could move or not move. I know that basically had to do with the involuntary movements. Right. And then I believe that Dr. Spitz was very emphatic on his testimony on whether there could be breathing.
That's true. And the deficiency there, and the reason why we felt it was really important, for competency of counsel reasons, is that basically then he was cross-examined and said, well, you're not a neuropathologist, which Dr. Spitz acknowledged he wasn't. In fact, it was Dr. Spitz and Dr. DeMaio who suggested, hey, you should get a neuropathologist, basically to cover that base. And we're following that recommendation, and we, tried to be fair with the people to give them the discovery right away. And as soon as we got it, and here we are.
Okay, thank you. I'll hear from the people.
Your Honor, to say that this is the first time this comes up is simply to ignore the grand jury testimony in 2004. In September 2004, Mr. Plord knows this as well as anybody. Dr. Pena was specifically asked by Doug Sortino, tell me extensively, and it's in our motion, we attached it, tell me about her ability to move after her spinal cord was transected. He said she couldn't move. I mean, that has been the evidence, and that has been what he was going to have said from September of 2004. They knew this. They absolutely knew that that was going to be the position of the experts on the people's side. Dr. Andrews, John Andrews, a neuropathologist, was consulted, and his consultation is included in the original protocol, the autopsy report. And Dr. Andrews concurred with Dr. Pena, who cross-concurred with Dr. Andrews, who said at most, and this was borne out in the grand jury testimony, at most she could have taken 1 or 2 very slight inhaled type breaths. Inhale suggests volitional movement, and there was none. But he indicated that her lungs could have expanded just a hair and breathed in just a tad. That's exactly what his testimony was on direct examination. That's exactly what it was on cross-examination. When Mr. Plord asked, well, tell me about that, and where do you get this information, and how did you come to your conclusions? He expounded and said, not only did I talk to Dr. Andrews, as it's indicated here in the protocol, but there's also a neuropathologist on staff named Itabashi, and he agreed as well. I don't know what disagreement Mr. Plord is talking about. Dr. Pena didn't say that there was a disagreement between the 2 neuropathologists. They all agreed she couldn't engage in any volitional movement of her arms, of her legs, of her head, and the most she could do was breathe in very, very shallow, once, maybe twice. Now we come to Dr. Spitz. And Dr. Spitz has her shooting her legs out, moving her arms, maybe moving her head back and forth. Then you come to, I'm sorry, did I say Spitz?
Yes.
DeMaio, my mistake. Then comes Dr. DeMaio. Now, and by the way, it shouldn't be lost on anyone that when the defense opened on the science, not word one, that Lana Clarkson coughed up or expelled or expirated blood at all. None. As a matter of fact, in the opening statement, Mr. Spector was 72 inches away, possibly as far as 8 feet away. That's the opening statement. Now Dr. DeMaio comes on and says, well, she could have shot her legs out from under her. Why? To try to answer the scientific questions about why there's no blood spatter on her legs. Then I asked Dr. Spitz the same thing. Dr. Spitz has her folding her legs under herself at mid-thigh. Makes no sense. And you remember him on the witness stand when I asked him, show the jurors what you're talking about, and he's trying to maneuver himself in the chair. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the first time we ever heard this from the defense, the famous raspberry. However you spell that, Cindy. He's basically indicating that she stuck her tongue out and blew a raspberry at Mr. Spector, and that's how the blood got on the jacket. That's the very first time that ever came up in the defense case in chief under direct examination of their expert. Now all of a sudden, at the 11th hour, we get Dr. Lietzma. I've had no time to prepare. The court has seen what kind of cross-examinations I do. I don't tend to go into things blindly. I'd like to have as much time as possible to prepare. And under 1054.3, this is exactly what what the legislature is trying to protect against. And we're asking the court to protect against this as well. Number one, as the court is noting by its pointed questions of Mr. Plord, this is cumulative. They've had 2 doctors talk about movement of arms and legs and head and expirating of blood. And number 2, we are in fact prejudiced because I don't have time to look up who Jan Lietzma is and to properly prepare a cross-examination of this expert. I think it's a blatant discovery violation. It was intended, I'll withdraw that. I don't know how it was intended. I think it's ignoring the prejudice that we would suffer to try and prepare for this guy in 1 or 2 days. I don't know that I could do it effectively.
Well, you had, just when you say 1 or 2 days, because I know that we talked about this in chambers. This came up last week. I don't remember which day.
Wednesday or Thursday.
And I said, at least without making a ruling, you're on notice that he might testify and you have to start to get ready. And I know you made the same objections, albeit informally. Is your objection that you can't get ready on the subject material, you can't get ready on his background?
No, it's both. It's both, Judge. I mean, the subject material is something that I'm unaware of. It didn't come up until Dr. Spitz, and it came up through the defense case. They brought this up themselves. Now, and they've got it in. I mean, Dr. Spitz, you got to admit, I mean, Mr. Plord says, well, Dr. Spitz said I'm not a neuropathologist, and so you might want to go get one. Dr. Spitz wasn't shy about testifying to anything. Dr. DeMaio held himself out as a casting director. I mean, these guys were not limiting their own testimony by saying, I'm not a neuropathologist. There wasn't much that they weren't willing to talk about and claim expertise on. They clearly got across to the jury their opinions that she could expirate blood, clearly got across to the jury their opinions that she could move her arms, legs, and head. This is cumulative insofar as the content is concerned, and under discovery violations, I think it is in fact prejudicial because I can't do a background check on the guy.
Let me just indicate, and I haven't made a decision yet because I want to hear from Mr. Plord. If I preclude this witness, I want you to understand one thing. You cannot get up in closing argument and say, we had the neuropathologist, their conclusions were better than their forensic pathologist. You can't do that.
I'm sorry, repeat that one more time.
I said if, and I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm saying if I preclude this witness from testifying, one thing you would not be able to do is argue that because Dr. Pena said he relied on a neuropathologist, and we really haven't had a lot of testimony about what a neuropathologist is to then argue, we relied on a neuropathologist, they had a forensic pathologist, we know more than, our witness knows more than they do. You would be precluded from doing that. You couldn't argue that. I'm just letting you know.
I understand, and I understand the narrow...
That's if I go that way.
Correct. But what I would do, certainly, and I want to make sure we're on the same playing field, what I would do is compare the quality and character of Dr. Pena's testimony against the quality and character of DeMaio and Spitz's testimony.
Well, if that's what you plan to do and that's what you want to do, then it's going to make my ruling a lot easier. Quite candidly.
I think I have to, Judge. I can't
That's fine, but with all due respect, and I wanted to see how you were prejudiced, and I know how well you like to prepare. I mean, I've watched you. Everyone's watched you. But basically, I think you'll be able to do it. I agree that there has been certainly a discovery violation, but if that's what you're going to argue, then I believe they have a right to put on the best witness that they can.
Can I have just a second, Judge?
Yes. Let me expound on my thinking. It's one thing, I agree with you that Dr. Spitz, Dr. DeMaio, they were very emphatic and they have testified to the same subject matter, so to some degree it then becomes cumulative at the end of the day, along with the discovery violation. However, if you then, and I believe I can go find case law not directly on that point, but certainly by analogy, that when you make a motion to exclude testimony and then argue sort of the exclusion of the testimony to benefit your side, that's error.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I mean, I, in good faith, as an officer of the court, I wouldn't stand up and say, hey, look, if they wanted a neuropathologist, they could have called one. I mean, I wouldn't do that. But
I understand that.
I guess I'm trying to get a look and feel for what I can say because I think it's incumbent upon me. I have to compare the quality of the testimony. I'm not sure I have much choice. I've just argued myself right into
I understand, and I understand the position I put you in, but I think although we would agree on the blatancy of saying they could have called a neuropathologist and they didn't see when you've been the one to exclude it, it may not be as explicit, but it certainly is implicit. And therefore, if that's what you want to argue, and I think you're going to have to make a choice, because that's what my thinking is coming down to. If you are, and you just, you know, I can't tell you exactly what you're going to say. You might.
Why not, Judge? Help me out. Come on.
Because I haven't heard it yet, and I'm afraid at certain points you're going to cross the line.
Well, I am too, and if that, I mean, look, I'm
okay.
pretty honest about that. I don't want to cross any lines, and I don't want to be watching the lines while I'm arguing.
Based upon that, your motion to call the witness is granted.
Thank you.
And if you need extra time, perhaps for cross, because I have a feeling we talked about Ms. Kenny Bodden's health, and we're trying to give her enough time to rest and get ready. That might have, you know, we're going to have some days when we may not be in session. I don't know.
Actually, Dr. Leeson is actually coming in and saying he's only available this week.
Well, no, you're missing my point. The point was being is it gives her a little more time.
Oh, yeah,
That's
sure.
all I'm saying. But because if they want to defer across, he may only be available, but he's going to have to be subject to recall. Because even if they cross him, they may find something in his background that they want to bring out, and that's going to be part and parcel of it. Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Judge, the only thing I would ask for from
Yes.
Mr. Plourde, I've gotten a kind of a two-sentence representation about her arms moving and expirating blood. I would ask for any emails.
Is he here now? Is he in the courthouse?
No, he's actually just flying in this afternoon.
Well, maybe tomorrow you can set up an interview.
Yeah, I actually read to him after these statements that and that's all I've got from him. The only thing we did, we sent him stuff and then we talked on the phone. And then
Okay, what I'm saying is we have tomorrow off. Maybe you can arrange, he's in town, get together with him.
I'll see what I can do. Actually, have put together a little. It's really brief. It's sort of like Dr. Pena's opinion about the tongue. We've had before.
You don't want to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, do you? Okay.
You might want to stop talking, Chris.
All right. Now, the defense has objected to the testimony of Devra, D-E-V-R-A, Robitaille, R-O-B-A-T-A-I-L-L-E, as not being proper rebuttal. So tell me apparently this is another somewhat 1101B incident?
Yes, actually, it is 1101B.
Well, let me hear.
Judge, we actually had a motion on this earlier. This is a woman who belatedly came forward.
Oh, this is the woman from...
Yes.
Okay, everyone was wondering.
You approved this at 1101B.
I did, and then you didn't call her.
We didn't call him the case in chief
Why?
because we think that now it's appropriate rebuttal evidence.
Why?
Because two reasons. One, most of their case is about this is suicide. The doctors have said 99.5 or close to that intraoral gunshots are self-inflicted. Both the doctors, DeMaio and Spitz, totally ignored the fact there's another person in the room. And then when asked by Mr. Jackson to consider it, they totally ignored it. That's one point. There's another reason why this happened. It's not suicide. And the facts of the instant case, the cases that we're talking about, mirrored the 1101B witnesses. That's why you decided it was appropriate. Right. Secondly, they have attacked Melissa Grosvenor's testimony and attacked it with two different witnesses, the Pelleggi sisters. We feel that the 1101B evidence cross-corroborates. If there was just one of them, it would be easy to ask the jury to disregard it, maybe even two of them. But because there were four, they cross-corroborate each other and become much more believable. They are trying to attack these witnesses and say you can't believe what they say. You can't believe what Melissa Grosvenor said happened to her in Phil Spector's house when she wanted to go home and he forced a gun into her face. This witness corroborates what Melissa Grosvenor said and the others. Mr. Jackson might want to add to it.
I do, very briefly.
Okay.
There's another issue that has come up in the defense case in chief, in addition to the attack on the 1101B witnesses, and that involves the Kessel brothers. Pumpkin Pie came in and said that she was aware of the Kessels, but somewhat tangentially aware, and who knows what. The jury can weigh and test her credibility, but the Kessel brothers came up. The Kessel brothers are involved with or connected to the Backstage Cafe. Of course, that's where Pumpkin Pie is working almost exclusively now on her Tuesday night parties, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this particular 1101B witness had specific face-to-face contact with Dan and David Kessel back in the late 70s, early 80s, insofar as her contact with Philip Spector is concerned. She knows them or knew them to be bodyguards of Philip Spector's, et cetera, so it ties them together as well, and that's another point that Deborah Robitaille is important for.
That's fairly remote, but not particularly objectionable. The other matters were things that we brought up in the opening statement.
Well, let me make so you can push your argument. I don't accept for the purpose of including the witness the fact that suicide, that's been known from day one. It was known from the opening statement, so the people can't claim surprise. The question to me will come down to whether there are sufficient other issues that this is true rebuttal to.
Well, the only issues would be the 1101 issues, and we stayed away from those. We didn't offer any character or any evidence that Mr. Spector didn't do these acts. We stayed away from it because of the court's ruling limiting it to the 4, and then when Robitaille got in, the 5. So,
Are you saying that you haven't attempted to show, at least with, I can tell you with Melissa Grosvenor, that the incident probably didn't happen, that you didn't attack their credibility?
we attacked her credibility, Your Honor. That doesn't make the witness. If they have somebody to come in and say something positive about Miss Grosvenor, that's rebuttal. But to someone to come in and say, I don't know Miss Grosvenor, if she were sitting next to me at the table, I wouldn't know her. That's not rebuttal. What they're trying to do is have this witness, which we litigated in prior to the case in chief, which should be a case in chief witness, which has nothing to do to rebut any of the evidence that we put on that wasn't known prior to the beginning of the case. Is simply not proper rebuttal. And it's an effort to emphasize this witness at the end of the case.
Okay, what I want to do...
May I have one thing?
Yes, you may.
Also, I want to address Mr. Jackson's footnote to Mr. Dixon's argument. I'm not sure I followed it. If I heard him right, what he's saying is that this witness knew the Kessel brothers back in the 70s or 80s, and Pumpkin Pie testified about that in the relationship with Mr. Spector. Well, I just read Pumpkin Pie this weekend. I read it very carefully, as you know, so I could provide you those particular sites. And that's not what Pumpkin Pie said. I read her on direct, I read her on cross, I read her on redirect and recross. What she basically said is she had no idea there was any connection whatsoever, and it had nothing to do whatsoever. In fact, she believed it was through Ian Copeland, who owned the backstage, not the Kessel brothers, and she didn't know of any connection between the Kessel brothers and Mr. Spector until after the fact, long after the fact. So I'm not sure I understand the logical jump over here of the Grand Canyon that Mr. Jackson's just done between what Ms. Robitaille knows about back in the 70s or 80s is the relationship between the Kessel brothers and Mr. Spector, and what Ms. Pye testified to. She didn't testify to anything contrary to the offer, if it's an offer of proof, whether it be formal or informal. She never said anything about that whatsoever, and I just read her this week. I'm sitting down.
Thank you. What I want to do, I want to look at the cases that Mr. Brunon has cited. Quite candidly, I have to give it some thought as to whether it is proper rebuttal, because this is a very dangerous area if you cross the line. I want to take a look at the cases and see whether I consider it as now rebuttal. And I will take a look at it and let you know. That's what it comes down to.
Thank you, Your Honor.
There's a third issue. The last issue is this question about whether Pumpkin Pie's statements to Investigator Bennett qualify as prior consistent statements. My understanding is the original statement was made to Detective Tomlin, where she denies anything bad. And then at some point, right after that, she then talks to Detective Bennett in 2004, I think it was.
2005.
2005.
May, if I remember.
And she now says that no, this is the whole set of facts as I should have told you before, but I didn't. And the question was whether it's a prior consistent statement. The statement that is inconsistent, it would be inconsistent or consistent to, is this original statement to Detective Tomlin. And in order to qualify as a prior consistent statement, it has to be made prior to the statement she originally made. That's Detective Tomlin's statement. It's not. It's post that statement. I don't think it qualifies as a prior consistent statement. And that's just, you can look at the use note to 791.
Well, there's two sets of...
There's two. There's A and B. But I'm saying I took a look at the pages that you asked me to look at, and they weren't of any great help.
I thought that's what you asked me.
Well, no, but when I ended up, I thought I didn't know what you were relying on. This is what you're relying on, but I'm listening. There's two grounds. There's A and B, and the B ground has to do with whether the statement arose before there was a basis for any possible bias, and that's not true either. I don't think it qualifies as a prior consistent statement. You can take a look at it, given my thoughts, and we can revisit this at a later time if you want.
You have the report that I left with you. The
Yes.
report and the sites.
The report and the sites.
I left you the sites.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I'll give it to you back.
No, it's okay. You can hear it. I just want to make sure you do.
I know. Yes, I forgot. Okay. Mr. Brunon.
I want to elaborate on the statement that we're talking about is her testimony in the courtroom. The statement that she made to Bennett is consistent with that, and it is being offered after the inconsistent statement to Tomlin was made. So what we're trying to do is rehabilitate
In order to do so, though, the bias for changing, if you read 791, I believe it's B, it talks about when the motivation for changing testimony or bias, and I think you'll find that's where the problem is, but we can revisit this. Thank you. We're in recess.
Okay, guys. I hate to do this to you. But I am not feeling well. So I'm going to go lay back down. But I will be back tomorrow at 8 for more Phil Spector. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.